Hello everybody, this is Fidwin here, and tonight I'm gonna try out a kind of like a startup guide for this game right here, oxygen not included. This game right here has been out, as far as out as being available since I want to say May of 2017. It's developed and published by Clay Entertainment, so if you're familiar with games such as Don't Starve, they have a few other games, but I can't think of them off the top of my head. But these are the same people that made it. So the idea of this game, obviously, it mentions it kind of in the title, Oxygen Not Included, is it's kind of like a survival, just like Don't Starve, but you need to kind of incorporate other elements into the game, such as oxygen consumption, stress levels, maintaining health, kind of like some of the same mechanics from Don't Starve. But it's kind of set up in a kind of like a colony, like outer, like it's like establishing a colony basically, and just maintaining the intricacies of that. So I think just for tonight, I just got done playing a game called Play With Me. I kind of just want to like just calm my nerves a little bit. And just kind of take a good stroll in this game, because I'm no expert in this game, because in order for you to be really good about this game, you kind of have to understand the mechanics and how all the mechanics work and just take advantage of those mechanics. But I've dumped in about like 150 hours into this game, and I feel like I've got a pretty good idea how to start out, because this game you want to play in phases, as I like to call it, because initially you want to get a good setup, you want to be able to have a good base for your people to start producing food, start producing oxygen, start getting technology researched, and I feel like in order to do that, you have to do it in a certain way to take advantage of what you're initially starting with, because you start out in a biome, sorry, you start out in a biome, I ran out of water too, in which you got your essential startings, but then once all that stuff is consumed within that essential initial biome, then it's kind of like you have to be creative on how to progress after that. So starting out, you begin with 3 duplicates. In my personal opinion, this is how I usually like to start out here. Every duplicate kind of has a perk and a vice that goes with them. I usually like just keep on shuffling around until I see someone that has really good creativity. Because early on, you kind of want to knock out the research and get all the benefits from the research that you do. And the best way to do that is get someone who has high creativity. So most likely, a person with a title of scientist will be a really good candidate for that. Usually. As you see here, I said, I'm sorry, I meant learning. Learning is the skill that you want to have in order to research faster. He is a quick learner, but, you know, it does randomize, and you have so unlimited randomizations you can do, so you can keep on going until you can get a really good learner here. 5 is about average. You see some people here with stats of 8. I would be happy with an 8 learner. This one's 4. And I know I am probably skipping some really good ones to start out with too, but I just kind of want to just do this in order. Not quite. So here we have someone who's, you know, I'll take a sit, even though he's considered a chef. You know, I can do better. I can do better. Here, well, you know what? This is okay. He's considered a scientist. Because, I mean, even though the scientist is mostly going to do a lot of initial research, still having some of that digging is pretty useful, and having a good immune system is also pretty useful as well. I don't think I'm going to be utilizing cooking much early on, but later in like late game, Cooking could be pretty useful as far as helping reduce stress, and just improving the quality of their lives here. But here we got Mole Hands, 6 learning, Squeamish, can't aid, so if someone is hurt, this character right here is most likely, well, definitely not going to help out as far as help that other character heal from any damage or sickness and such. So now we got a good scientist. The next thing I usually like to go for is someone who's really artsy. Ideally, I expect to have someone who's +5 or more, because once you actually start to build the base and start to balance things out and try to improve the qualities of their lives, you kind of have to incorporate some artwork and some decor into the settings, so that will help to take care of stress. You can see down here these guys have some decor expectations. They're pretty low, so like I don't need to have to go all crazy out on art, but you still want to use some art, because depending on the environment, there will be a lot of negatives to bring the environment to a negative decor. So I'll be happy with this 5 to creativity. And then the last person, this person's also squeamish, but I don't expect them to get hurt or sick early on in the game, because we're going to get some more people. The next person, usually just wanted them to be either a really good digger, really good athletics, really good strength, because there's going to be a lot of digging, there's going to be a lot of moving early on. That person was an okay candidate, but I feel like I could do a little bit better. I kind of want them to have a mix of running as well, because I do want someone to be dedicated to generate early game power, which is, I'll show you that later on. Oh, that person was actually a good scientist, but we'll keep on going. I already got my scientist here. I'll be happy with this. Having diver's lungs is pretty helpful, because oxygen is it's just like any other resource. You want to try to use this as a little bit as possible, and just having the diver's lungs helps that out. And of course, the person's squeamish as well, so like I said, I don't expect any of them to be hurt early game, so I think I'm pretty happy with this setup. As far as the colony name, you could choose your own flavor as far as what you want to make it. I'll just click this a couple times, and let's go with the Swanky League. Let's go with that. Sounds pretty awesome. So we start out the game here, and this is the initial biome you start out in. Depending on the biome, initially you kind of want to have like a hit pause here, so you can kind of analyze what's going on here. Wait, pause. There we go. So you see that we got like I feel like this is a pretty good setup right here. You got good sources of water around here. You got access to algae. Ideally, you want to get good. You want to get access quickly to any type of ore, which initially you're going to be to start out with copper ore, so that you could build your research station and start doing your research. So get this button right here. You got some hotkeys for all these down here. G for dig. I just don't really like to click on them. And let's see. I'm gonna have them dig. Let's have them dig all that. And as I play this, I'll kind of show like the initial setup, because the early game setup is going to be different than late game setup. Because like once you start going to late game, it's pretty much going to be you're going to kind of move away from your initial base, because it's going to be kind of obsolete compared to what you're going to need later on in the game. So we'll go dig all this out, and what I like to do is no, I have to let it go for a little bit. And of course, the first thing you want to try to take care of is you want to give them some place to sleep and some place to really, to relieve themselves as far as like going to the bathroom. So of course, you can always change the speed. I like to play in a little bit of faster mode, so that because I kind of got the gist as far as how to do this initial stuff here. So you see, as you're getting stuff digged out, that you start getting some options available as far as things to build. So what I like to do, let's get the bed situation set up first. And ideally, you kind of want to have to set up in a way to where you can create rooms, because rooms offer benefits. And in order for that stuff to work, barracks is going to be what is considered the best room for them to sleep in. So it requires bed, no machinery. It has to be at least 12 tiles, no more than 64. I'll kind of show an ideal setup of that right there. Once I issue out a few commands here. So let me get them to dig this direction as well. So I'm just going to have the barracks right here. Now you'll see these little guys that'll pop up. Ideally, ignore them for now, because later on they'll be useful as far as eating stuff and creating coal. Coal is going to be useful later, and kind of like mid-game they'll be useful as far as like producing power. Well, one thing I kind of forgot to mention, there's probably another hatch right there, is this is the initial biome where they'll have dirt, copper, coal, algae, sand. But then once you kind of go beyond that, you're going to see a lot of different type of material, like phosphorite, gold amalgam, bisolite, and that's where that starts to become, like, once you get to those boundaries, you're going to start dealing with mid-game stuff, and I'll explain that later, because right now we're just kind of focused on early game stuff. So of course, flee for a little bit, there's going to be some forgiveness there, that's okay. When you have sand, sand likes to fall down. So here we will want to build beds. I like to leave a little bit of a gap to create a door. And I also like to leave one more space so that I can set up artwork. And you'll kind of see why here. So let's get... What I like to do is do a 6 colony setup. Which that means, at most, just have 6 people. It's easier to manage early game. But you don't want to have them all too soon. So let's build that. Let's get you right there. You right there. Let's assign sleep quarters. Which is not necessary, but I just like to kind of set that up. Let's have them dig the rest of this out. And then this is pretty much an ideal early bed setup, as far as setup of barracks. But next, we need to take care of toilets. So what I like to do, as far as the early toilet setup, since you're gonna have 6 of them, as far as I'm gonna have 6 of them, I like to have 2 toilets set up. And with that, you want to have somewhere for them to kind of, you know, wash their hands, because you go to the bathroom, you need to wash your hands afterwards. So while that's happening, let's get the next thing set up, which will be research. For research, you need to make a research station. So let's set that right there. And of course, with the research station, it needs power, so we need to set up some type of miniature power setup. This is what I normally like to do as far as getting it started. Simple and efficient. Uses minimal material to get the initial setup started and going. And then while that's happening, I also like to set up the jobs so these guys are doing the most efficient thing that they're best at. What I mean by that is, for example, you only need 1 artist, really. and you want the artists to actually, you want your best artist to actually do the art, because if you have these other people try to do the art, they're not going to do a good job at it, and you won't get the best benefit from decor with mediocre art. You want masterpieces, basically. So someone with good creativity will more likely give you masterpieces, which will, in fact, deal with decor. As far as research, I only want one person taking care of research right now. Since, I mean, we have two good people, we have a 6 and a 4, I want the person with a 6 to actually take care of that. And because those are going to be the two main ones I always recommend to do early game. But as far as power, um, just to be most efficient with it, you just want one person who's the best at generating power to take care of it. And person with the highest athletics is usually going to be your best candidate. So since we only have one wheel, I want the person with the best athletics to take care of that, so that the other two can focus on other things. So initial early game setup, I would recommend having someone good with art, good with research, and good with power generation. Of course, the later game you kind of want to focus even more and more, but that'll be later in the game, of course. So since we got that set up, let me think here. Let's see if they finish this up, so that I can show you as far as this is going to be kind of like your early game barracks setup. This right here is pretty much the start of it. Let me see if it actually shows it as a room. There we go. So you'll see that when a room is actually set up, you need like 2 doors to kind of enclose it, have walls, and it qualifies as a barracks. So because of that, I'm going to get a stamina recovery bonus. So like when they go to bed, they should be able to fully recover their stamina for the next day, which I think you can see that by right here. Yes. So like right now, it's kind of like almost the end of the day. I think she's rocking with 56. Bubbles is rocking at 56. And Beep is rocking at 56. So unless they have some type of like vice, those numbers will be different, but they should be ideally fully recovered by the time the next day starts. So, since now this is set up, you gotta have to get your research going. What I normally recommend is to start out with basic farming, because basic farming will provide you a means of producing food, and it will provide you a means of producing oxygen, which are the next two things you want to start taking care of ASAP. So, what is he taking? Oh yeah, it's from, he got damage from the hatches, but he'll be alright. Let's see. Like 98 out of 100, 99 out of 100, no biggie. I don't expect the hatches, because the hatches aren't aggressive. They're only, they'll only do something if you disturb them while they're underground. But at this point, that shouldn't be happening anymore. So at this point, let's start by getting access to water, because water is pretty vital as far as getting the oxygen going and using water for research and water for other miscellaneous things that will, you know, keep the game going. So let's build ladders that go down to the water. And of course, if you want more information, there's plenty of tips that they provide. And of course, throughout the game, as the people do stuff, they will increase their skills as for what they're doing. So for example, if they're digging, over time they'll build up a digging skill. If they're doing research, over time they're going to improve their learning skill. The appropriate stat they're using to do something, they're actually making it better for themselves. Kind of like an Elder Scrolls scenario, basically. Like old school Elder Scrolls, where like if you jump over time, your jumping skill gets better. So what I want to do is you want to get a pitcher pump set up. How I like to build my base is I like to have like this 4 space gap between the ceiling to the ground. So the way this will work is, since this is only 3 high, I'm just moving down 1, 2. So this would be an ideal spot, in my opinion. We're getting that set up. And on top of that, I'm gonna start producing my oxygen down here too. So I'm gonna start building a platform. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I like to do a 7 setup, and I'll explain that later as to why I like that. So let's dig all of that out. Alright, so we got water, got the basin, and this is first night. So the hatches here are just going to run around. They're going to eat some of the stuff that's on the ground, which initially that's okay. Because like I mentioned before, mid-game you want to get coal, and these 2 little guys are going to be your little coal producers. Germs and disease, so because of this setup, that will hopefully mitigate that as much as possible. Oh yeah, let me set this to all, so that, like for example, if there's some muck roots out here, they'll put the muck roots in there. Kind of like looking over the germ overlay real quick. You're going to produce your germs over here at the bathrooms, and the best way to kind of reduce the germs afterwards is, well, for them to clean their hands. So this is why the wash basin is here. And we should set this to only go left, because there's no point for them to go back, go wash their hands before they go in there, and then wash their hands when they come back. It's just wasted time. They really ideally just need to wash their hands once they leave the bathroom. And then, just for the sake, there's a hatch right there. Let's just take care of that right now. Actually, I just want to dig that part out, because I want oxygen to flow up. And as long as you have like a 1 space difference, they should be able to jump across, and everything should be fine from that point. You notice that they look like their cheeks were kind of puffy there. That's because they're holding their breath. And if you look over the oxygen overlay, this means good oxygen, good concentration of oxygen, very breathable. Okay concentration, not so okay. So, you know, carbon dioxide is going to be heavier than oxygen, so carbon dioxide is going to go down, oxygen is going to go up. Alright, so we got some idle people. So, while that, let's see, let's just wait. Well, kind of seeing how this is set up right now, I want this water to go down. I don't want this flood in my base. So, in the meantime, while the research, even though the research is almost done, I want them to build this to get access to that. Because you want to use every second to get everything set up and going. So, first research is done. Ideally, what I would suggest as far as your second research is to go interior decor. Reason for that is, in my personal opinion, to get the ceiling light. The ceiling light will do one thing that I always like to see every game I play. All I can do is 7 algae setup for one little spot, and then once I get the research done, I'm gonna show you a little nifty trick to kind of get the best efficiency out of these with the setup. Oh yeah, another little thing here. Ooh. I should have thought about this beforehand. But I can still fix this though, so it's okay. There's no big loss here. It's just a little bit of time loss, if anything. So let it finish that, but at the same time, I'm going to deconstruct it. Let's get you, because then a second room you can make is called latrine. And in order for that to work, it's kind of like a barracks as far as size goes. And we'll just might as well just make this a latrine setup here, because you want to utilize every bonus you can get. So build that there, build that there, and build that there. And that will qualify as latrine. Open this up because there's no point for it to be closed, because air can flow through these doors anyways. It's just the idea of establishing a threshold, a boundary to consider this a room is what we're looking for. Let's slow this down a little bit. It's getting a little choppy here. Another little thing I like to do is, alright, so we got this done. I'll explain that other thought here in a second after this, because this is important in my opinion. Once you get these two done, for early game setup, these 3 other researches are not quite as vital at the moment. What I like to go to next is advanced research, so that once you get that done, you can move on with the more, because like these initial researches, you just need the novice research to get them done. But once you get to these higher tiers, you need novice and advanced research. I believe that's what it's called. So I just kind of get this rolling right now. And because that research is done now, here's the nifty little trick that I wanted to show. We'll go to furniture, right? Yes. I just don't have the materials for it. Let's get that material. Now the thing is, you can set priorities. Priorities basically means what they're going to do, what takes precedence basically. And since I said 9, they're going to dig this first before they do the other stuff here. There's one little thing that I do need to set up though. You wanna, of course I want them to eat some of the stuff, but there are some vital things that I don't want them to eat. I kind of feel like they may have already eaten some of the things I do not want them to eat. So let's set this as priority 9. athletics. That's good. Carry more stuff. Alright, so now that we have these available, for now, I like to set them as all. Let's sweep up all of this stuff. I'm gonna set this to 9 so that they'll put the food in there. And I think, do I have it yet? Yes. So here we have the ceiling light. You'll see here with this setup, this light will hit all 7 of the algae terrariums. So I'm gonna put that there. And let's connect that with power. So whenever you have light over on the algae terrariums, they get a little efficiency boost from direct light. So having that 7 set up with that going on right there, you're just getting the most out of this little setup. Looks like we have some sand that fell down, so let's take care of that. Because that's blocking the ration box here. And I think for now, this is a good start. I definitely would like to show some more because it definitely takes some time to get a good early base setup, and it's going pretty fluid with this run so far. So I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that there's something that could have done a little better? I feel like I'm doing the best, but I'm always open to opinions, advice, and tips. And other than that, comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.